what's up guys? Okay, so I wanted to do this video for a very long time. I'm finally getting around to doing it. And what I want to show you is the function of the pecs. The pec major, the pec minor, and how they affect you when you've got TOS, and how they aggravate the flare up, and how everyday life affects your posture, and your pecs are probably one of the main reasons that you're still having such bad flare ups. So what I've done, I've drawn on my body so that you can actually see where they attach and how they lengthen and shorten and how you can stretch them. So let's start with the pec major. Now we've got the pec major, the pec minor, and they're on both sides. So don't think that it's just pec major, pec minor. The pec major is the top one and the pec minor lies underneath on both sides. So the pec major, as you can see, it attaches to the sternum. There's two portions to it. So it attaches to the sternum and it comes midway to the upper humerus into your arm here. And then you've got the clavicular portion which comes down and attaches to the same point onto your arm. So now you can see that if this is tight, you're going to get a forward rolling of the shoulder because everything's squeezing tight. And your chest functions to bring your arm across your body. So you're going to have that naturally squeezed tight and you're going to walk around with those rounded shoulders and that forward head if you have tight pec major muscles. Now this impairs your function of your range of motion. You can't lift your arm as high, you can't stretch as well because everything's rolled forward and now you want to do stretches outwards and everything feels extremely tight. That's due to this muscle and this misfunction of this muscle. So you're going to have lots of shoulder problems with a tight pec major, and you're going to aggravate those symptoms because everything's rolled forward. So now everything's misaligned, there's more compression on those nerves and arteries, and you're just not going to feel good. So it's very important to stretch your pecs out. The next thing we're going to talk about is the pec minor. Now, the pec minor is probably more important than the pec major, and it's one of those overlooked muscles because when you're training, say you're doing chest and you never have an injury, you just train and train and train, and you never pay attention to the pec minor. But the pec minor, now as you can see, it attaches right up here into the coracoid process. Now that coracoid process directly links to your shoulder blade. It's on the same joint. So when you see your scapula, there's a little node sticking out, and that's the coracoid process. It's one unit. So your pec minor, getting confused here, your pec minor attaches to the coracoid process, and it attaches to the third, fourth, and fifth ribs, as you can see. So now, when you're breathing deeply, and if you're not breathing properly, most people breathe with their chests, your scalene muscles are taking over for respiratory. That's why you get symptoms. And your chest, it's the pec minor, it's lifting these ribs so that your lungs can expand and you can breathe properly. That's why diaphragmic breathing is so important, because you want to use your diaphragm and you want to take all the load off of your chest and your neck. So diaphragmic breathing is extremely important. I'll put a link in the description, and so you can see how that affects your TOS. Okay, so now what happens if this muscle gets tight? This is going to pull that coracoid process, which is attached to your scapula, and it's going to give you a downward tilt of your shoulder. It's going to pull it downwards, and not only is it going to pull it downwards, it's going to pull your scapula around your body because it's pulling everything tight. So if it's pulling forward, you're going to get that winging of the scapula, and you're not going to be able to put your shoulder blade where it should, and you're not going to be able to lift your arm if you've got a very tight pec minor. So try lift your arm and you'll feel it feels extremely tight because now your scapula is not moving like it should. You've got that anterior tilt where it's tilting towards the front, and it's also coming around your body. So your scapula is so misaligned and the shoulder joint is so unstable because of your tight pec that everything is not working properly and you've got limited range of motion. So it affects a lot of areas of your body. And if you think about it, it attaches to the front, but because it's attached to your scapula in a way, because of the coracoid process, this whole area gets affected. That's why with TOS, you've got pec minor issues, you've got trap issues, you've got scapular issues, and you've got scalene issues, and you name it, you've got it. It's because everything in the thoracic area is attached to one another in some way or another, and if one tightens, the next compensates. So tight pec minor, you've got that flaring of the shoulder blade. So that's why you need to work on your posture and get everything neutral so that your body can work as it should. So you can't just focus on one area, you have to focus on your entire body to really recover. Okay, now when stretching your chest, you don't want to overextend because you can actually hurt yourself even further. So you want to protect your shoulder, you want to lock the upper humerus in place so that it can't pop forward. Because I see a lot of guys overextending in the gym and they push their shoulder capsule forward and the humerus forward, and it actually, you can tear it, you can damage the ligaments, and then you've got even more problems. So you want to keep your shoulders very safe when stretching your chest. It's not a big area to stretch. You just want to get this part and this part as far away as possible. So to do this safely for the pec major, you want to put your arm at a 90-degree angle, and you want to go up against a door frame or anything that you have in your house, but a door frame preferably, because then you can really lean into it, keep your shoulder safe, and then you just simply stretch away, and you turn away from it, and you push forward slightly, and you can actually feel the lengthening of the chest. Now, if this feels too easy, you can look to the left corner, turn your head away and look down, and this adds additional stretch into the chest. This is the perfect stretch just to get this pec major loose without adding any injury, and it helps with flare-ups. Okay, so we're going to stretch the pec minor now. Now, same as the pec major, you want to keep it very safe. You don't want to hurt yourself, because if you overextend or you pop the humerus forward, you can really hurt the shoulder capsule. So you want to get up against the door frame again. You're going to put the top of your humerus, you're going to put the whole shoulder onto that corner, and once that's stable, you want to keep your arm at 90 degrees, and then you want to lift it straight up. And you can feel that stretch. So what the point of this is to get those three ribs as far away from the coracoid process, and you want to lengthen this pec minor as much as you can. So let's get into it. Put your shoulder onto that corner. Now check these lines. As I'm going up with my arm, you can see how far apart those lines are getting, and you can see that stretch. Now that's what you want to hold for at least 30 to 40 seconds, because that activates the muscle memory, and that gets that muscle firing, and it's going to remember to stay in that relaxed position. So you want to do these two exercises throughout the day. Do it once or twice. Start once maybe in the first week, and then work your way up and start stretching more and more. And you're going to feel less symptoms, and you're going to feel a whole lot looser in your chest. Okay, so this final stretch involves a resistance band, and it has handles, so you don't have to use your hand too much, because I know when you've got TOS and you've got muscle weakness in the hand. So having a resistance band with handles really helps. So if you can find somewhere where you can put it around so that you can hold it while you're doing the stretch, it's really going to help you, because then it just balances on your hands. So what you want to do is keep your hands and your arms at 90 degrees to your body, and just take a step forward. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and just stretch out your chest. You're going to feel it. As you step forward, everything's going to open up, and you can actually feel the blood flowing, and sometimes you can feel the nerve activating, and sometimes your traps start twitching. You just want to stand in this position for like 30-40 seconds, and then you can release it, and you can feel how open everything feels. So you want to combine all three stretches together on a daily basis, just to get that routine and just to get your muscles firing correctly. So I hope these stretches really help you, and at least now you can visualize the muscles as you stretch them and get that muscle-mind connection.